Hello, everybody. I want you to be welcome to Detective Diaries. I am your host, Greg Lawson. Apparently, Detective Diaries is a broadcast about paranormal travel, paranormal exploration, and adult beverages. So I believe this is number 6 of Detective Diaries. And a couple of days ago, we got to talk to MJ Dixon from the UK. She is the organizer of Sage Paracon, which is a fantastic paranormal event over in the UK, and it's always a blast. And so today, I decided to contact a strange and interesting person, because that's what this is all about, is strange and interesting people. And this person is definitely interesting. Jessica Potter. She is a psychic medium and has a lot of travel, and we have a lot of common background together. So everybody, please welcome Jessica Potter to Detective Diaries. Hey, Jessica.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
Good. Yeah, man. It's really funny. I would like to say that we've worked on a bunch of cases together and we've traveled the world together and we've seen all this crazy stuff, but we haven't.
Not yet.
And we just met in Michigan last year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we
And
didn't even
so
get to talk that much. It was just
no,
like passing by, but I was like, that guy's got cool vibes.
well, and that I felt the same way. When you're at Michigan, there are so many people
Mhm.
that it's hard to do any kind of networking or anything like that. So that's a good thing about Facebook, I guess. Uh,
Yeah.
but same thing, when you came in and the people you were talking to and everything, you kind of change the room. When you enter a room, you kind of change. Something happens. I'm not sure
Hmm.
what that is, because I'm not a psychic medium.
It's my
I don't
gas.
know.
I'm just kidding.
Um, but it was so odd, because the little questions I did ask you, you had a certain language
Hmm.
that I understood, and I was like, the way she's talking, it's a specific kind of way, and then like months later, or whatever, find out that, oh, you have a military background,
Mhm.
grew up in the military, military husband. You were stationed, or you lived in Anchorage, Alaska, which I was stationed in Anchorage, Alaska. So all this weird stuff was coming
Yeah.
along. And anyway, so it provided for a great platform for discussion. So
Yeah. But that I felt the exact same way. Like when I found out your military law enforcement background, like there it is. Like it was like almost like a comfortable level, like
yeah,
familiar energy type thing.
yeah. And so I've always been very, very interested in mediumship, for a bunch of different ways that I'll ask you questions here in a little bit, um, about that. But specifically, what is it that you do?
Um, More like, what do I not do? I do so much. I get bored easily, so I just love learning and soaking in stuff. So I'm always taking on new things. The main thing I am is a psychic medium. So I travel and do gallery readings, ghost hunts, because I love that piece too. I feel like you learn a lot through it. I teach online psychic abilities, mediumship, and now I'm doing a cards class. I work missing person cases and cold cases, and I'm also trying to be an artist, a painter, but I don't think any artists like really happy with their artwork. So makeup artist, and I still hold on to my beauty license, what I did before discovered my mediumship. So do quite a bit.
Right, that's cool. So that was one of the things that when I was looking at your website, and it's very interesting as far as teaching. I have a lot of friends of mine that are mediums, that teach mediumship. They teach tarot card reading. They teach that sort of stuff. And as far as your tarot card stuff, what is it that you try to concentrate on and teach people?
Well, I actually come from a very religious background. My mom was Southern Baptist, my dad was Catholic. So growing up, they settled on non-denominational churches. So they weren't big fans of tarot. It's always taught that was like the devil's playground.
Of
So it took
course.
me a while to like even understand tarot or build up that bond to him because I had that fear pattern. So I wanted to understand it a little bit more. So I'd take courses online and try to get that connection. Most of the time when I get appointments, I just use my mediumship anyways, but I always thought it was really interesting how it works and how it can work with cards. So when I went into taking classes, it was about like pushing, like memorize the meaning, memorize the meaning. So when I put this course together, I was like, I'm going to have them connect the way I connect, which is a little bit outside the box, using your intuition, looking at the images and having that speak to you rather than the set system and structure of that's what the answers got to be. So try to always think a little bit differently when I teach my courses so that way they stay fun and interesting. And hopefully people soak it in more because it's more emotional connection they make.
Right. So in when you were at Michigan, what was the primary thing that you were doing while you were at Michigan?
I was doing one-on-one mediumship appointments.
Okay.
So I did, I can't even remember how many I got to, and I know I had like a waiting list and I had,
Well, I know you were busy. I got a picture of you
oh my
here.
God, it went so fast and like I'd feel bad because, it took so long to get through the people. By the time I would be supposed to be taking my next person, I would still be trying to find my way through. And then it was so many people in there. I kept picking up on stuff all over, and I'm like, I gotta go outside the crowd. So
Right.
yeah, but it was amazing, and the people I connected with, and everyone, like it was so much fun. Just really different vibe. I've been to a lot of
Right.
different locations and vendor events, but something about the energy there, the people's energy, the excitement, I don't know, but it was like intense. Funny about Alaska too. I had one reading. I kept getting images of Alaska, and I'm like, why am I getting like I'm seeing the Iditarod and all this stuff? So I wasn't saying anything in the reading. And then finally I said, do you have a connection to Alaska? And she said, yeah, that's who I'm wanting to connect to. And her fiance had died in a plane crash up there, I think 20 something plus years ago. And my dad was one of the people that actually helped with the situation, the crash. So I'm like, wow, this is a small world, and like how you can just connect to things like that and people. It's pretty fascinating.
Right. Yeah. Man, you meet the most interesting people up there in Michigan, but there is one thing I'd like to ask you about, and I know this is probably a sensitive subject. A lot of people don't want to talk about this particular incident, but the incident that happened in Michigan, the accident, could you tell me a little bit about that?
The accident.
Yeah.
Oh
With
my gosh. I'm like,
I did not realize
Like,
that
I don't
you
think
had
that's
recovered so well from the Scooby-Doo incident.
I
Yeah.
just saw that so many people always take the same photo, and I was like, I'm gonna think of something different. But yeah, at first I got behind the wheel, and so the car would have had it back over me, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know, but yeah, like I'm
Oh,
gonna do.
so that was staged then. That wasn't an actual incident.
I don't know. Robin's an aggressive driver. You never know.
Yeah, you never know.
He's
So
like,
so yeah, I as a former major crimes detective, we worked homicide cases, we worked sexual assault cases, we worked missing person cases, and it's one of those things that I get approached about kind of on a regular basis of, hey, have you ever used a medium in any of your cases?
mm-hmm.
And the thing about that is when you're working a high profile case, there's a lot of people that will call in that want to report what they saw, and that's good. That's great. Most cases, most cases are solved by good nosy neighbors. You know, they're paying attention to what's going on in their neighborhood, and they really help out law enforcement. But then there's this other side. there's the people that want to be involved in it somehow and feel like they need to be involved in it. And, you know, you put out a like a crime watch thing or something like that. And then you get 50 calls, and, you know, 10 of them, 12 of them are of people that believe that they're getting some sort of information, or they have some sort of connection. There's a pretty famous case in Austin, the yogurt shop murders. And just to give people an idea, the yogurt shop murders was multiple murders of teenage girls, and they were burned in a yogurt shop. And there were 42 people that called and contacted the police agency that was doing the investigation and said that they were the ones that did it. So right there, that's 42 people you have to investigate to either prove they did or prove they didn't do it. And it bogs down the case like crazy. So most times when you ask a cop, you ever use a medium, they'll roll their eyes. They'll just go, oh God, no, I've never done that, or whatever. And something that I believe is, as a law enforcement officer, in order to keep that credibility level, you need to vet your mediums. If you're going to use anybody, you need to do that. I know you're involved with an organization, and can tell me a little bit about what you guys do with that?
Okay. So I'm part of Impartial Witness. It was developed about a year ago. It's still in the making, but it's going to be really launching soon and taking off soon. But this is a program where mediums like me can help in a beneficial way. Like Greg talked about, where you have so many people trying to be involved, whether they're wanting to help or they're wanting to just be involved. They might just be nosy or somehow want to put themselves in it. It can create a lot of chaos and a lot going on. So this program, they email us the cases, and if we get something or have a connection to the case, then we can write something back. Some spirits, or some, depending on if they're on the other side, or some cases will connect to us. In some cases, we won't get much information. So that's why they leave it like that. Then they take and gather all the evidence, and they go through, and say like 80% of the people said they feel like a gun was involved, then that will get noted in the system. So then when law enforcement looks in it, they'll better be directed in that way. So it kind of cuts out a lot of the in between and them having to communicate with everybody and hear everybody's stories. Because it is hard when you're a medium, you get so much in, and you can't sit there and take up all their time.
Right. And yeah, and it gets a little weird. So for those of you who may have just tuned in, it's Detective Diaries. We're talking with Jessica Potter, psychic medium, and we got a hello from Kat down in Australia. So she says she's fascinated to hear our thoughts, and I've worked with Kat prior to this, and she's fantastic. If anybody wants a connection down in Australia, she's the one definitely to go to. For those of you who are watching, if you can like this broadcast and also share it, man, that would be great. We get a lot of activity once the folks that are watching share. Christopher, or I'm sorry, Michael Christopher says hello. What's up, man?
Oh, hi, Michael.
Yeah, and
we're training together under Cindy Kaza from the Holzer Files.
Yeah, where is she? Is she on there?
Cindy?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if Cindy's on here, but I don't know. We should get her on there.
Yeah, no kidding. Carrie Turner, she's long term ghost investigator there. Hey, Carrie, good to see you.
Hi, Carrie.
Yeah, but that's one of the things that I always struggled with, and it's something that cops can do if they're confident in their case. If they know that they have a solid investigation and their methods are solid, there's no reason to not reach out to somebody who is a really credible person.
Exactly.
That might have some additional information of some sort. And here's the kicker on that. I don't know what psychic mediums do. I don't know what clairvoyance, clairaudience. I don't know what any of that does. I don't know how that works, but there are certain things that mediums will bring up that a cop that's sitting inside of his investigative box will never think of.
Exactly. Yeah.
So whenever I've reached out a couple of times. Whenever I have reached out, it's been where I've been working on this case for 4 months, 6 months, and I've exhausted all my leads. I've interviewed all the witnesses, all the involved persons, the victims, the suspects, whatever, and it's just gotten nowhere. And before I stamp suspended and throw it into the, into records for it to be looked at again in 5-10 years as a cold case, I go ahead and reach out and talk to certain people and just see what they can come up with. But that was just kind of my deal.
Me being a medium, I can understand. It's weird. Maybe because I have military family and a lot of law enforcement in my family. I can understand the frustration and where they're coming from and why it's hard to work with the medium, because it might be just another dead end that goes nowhere, and it can be overwhelming and you're already so drained. But it can also be a really helpful tool. And like you said, you don't know much about how mediums work or how it connects. You just know that there's extra tools that can come in. But as long as you have an understanding of it and the way it works, a basic understanding, I think it would go a lot further and maybe be taken more seriously.
Right.
Sometimes there's people get like, I call it too woo-woo. Like you get stuff that just absolutely doesn't make sense. Like a dragon told me that, they were over here. And so there's some people that just, they have a hard time being able to believe somebody that's getting something that seems far-fetched. But there's times where it might not actually match the case or seem like it matches the case. And then that ends up playing out, and that's exactly how it was. But it's a very rough area.
Right. And there's cases that people want to help out on. And if you're not vetted, if you're not part of an organization that works with law enforcement, it's really hard for law enforcement to take you serious, because there's 1,000 different rabbit trails. And all of a sudden, now I'm looking for a big rock in a tree. The body's near a big rock in a tree. Well, I can't,
Yeah.
that's not going to do it. And so it's, and the other thing is, my argument to a lot of cops or a lot of detectives that have said, no, I would never do that, is, most mediums think a little different than we think. And I say we, as far as cops go, because we're stuck in our little box with our little rules and our little procedures and all that. And we kind of try to stick to that. And it's sometimes really helpful to have a fresh perspective on something, especially somebody who's really thinking way outside the box.
Yeah. And as a police officer or law enforcement, anybody that works these cases, you get to a point where you have to be emotionally detached. You can get like gut feelings and stuff. I always teach this in my training, because even skeptics will say they don't have intuition. Well, that gut feeling is intuition. You're just looking at it differently. But being a police officer, you have to pull out your emotions. If you worry your emotions with every case, at some point, I'm sure it happens where you do connect emotionally, in certain cases get to you, but you have to turn off that side, because you can't think logically with it. You can't make the case with it. Where a medium that's outside the case, and especially the less we know about a case, it's going to make it easier for us to go and get that information, because we can feel emotionally. We can feel the energy between, if there was an argument or something like that, as well as get the big rock in the tree that you got to go look for.
Right. Right. I always like the description. All right, we're looking for a white male. He's between 5'5" and 6'4". He's between 170 and 240 pounds. He's got either blue or hazel, maybe green eyes, and it's just like
time I link into their experience and gather as much as I can. First, I always tap in and be like, hey, does this person feel alive, or do they feel crossed over? So how I normally know somebody's on the other side is they'll be more removed from the situation, where a living person, I'll feel them stressing money, stressing being found, like if it is runaway or, things like that. And then I go into what they last saw, what they last experienced. But I'm very clairsentient, so I'll feel a lot in my body, like the physical pain will come on. So for a gunshot, like I'll feel like a line that's like hot, like I can feel where the bullet went through them. So I tend to connect in that way and pull that type of information. And then if they come back and ask me to describe the suspect, then I look at that. But I always go to the victim or the missing person, the center of that, and see their experience.
Now, when you first felt that you had these abilities, what was there a catalyst? Was there something that happened that you were like, oh my God?
Yeah. Yeah. I've had them my whole life. And I thought everybody had, like where their dead relatives come through and talk to them, or seeing little balls of light. I mean, as far back as I can remember, being 3 years old, I can remember gnomes when we lived in Iceland. I remember little odd things. And so I just thought it was normal till I was about 18 years old. That's when I realized like no one really talks about that stuff or experiences that. And then when I was hitting my 30s, some of my cousins started saying, they're like, I swear you're intuitive. I swear you're intuitive. And right about that age, it was like a whole bunch of situations start happening. My daughter started seeing spirits, like full on seeing spirits. And I'm like, okay, maybe I need to explore this and understand it, because she was terrified to sleep in a room. And then at the same time, my ex-boyfriend, who I was still friends with, it was a peaceful breakup, just long distance relationship, he passed away from cancer. So for 2 weeks, I thought I was losing my mind. I thought I was going insane. He would mention something about shoes, and then next thing you know, his mom would post something on Facebook about shoes. And then it'd be like, look, here comes a Ninja Turtle backpack. And a little kid would run out from the school with the Ninja Turtle backpack. And I was like, what is going on with me? And I was probably weird as crap for 2 weeks, because it was just so much coming in. I was seeing flashes of light. And then I was like, okay, like I really got to understand what's going on here.
How many years ago was that?
So I'm 36 now. So I'd probably say about 5. I think he passed 3 years ago. 5 years ago is when I started down this journey. And 3 years ago is like when I knew without doubt. I was like, okay, that's how this stuff works. That's what this is.
Right. Well,
I'm
and what
crazy.
about the mermaid thing? What is I know you're one of your ads is yeah, go ahead and tell
Oh,
me.
the mermaid medium.
Yeah.
Well, I've always been obsessed with Ariel, and I happen to be wearing all Ariel stuff today. So when I was a little girl, my dad and me would always go see movies, and I made him take me see it in the movie theater 7 times. No joke, but he did it. And then I would like splash around the bath and make a mess. So he gave me a nickname Little Mermaid growing up.
Gotcha.
I'm actually a Pisces too, so I was like, that's kind of cool, water sign. But as I was traveling, I've always changed my hair up, done wild colors and stuff. It just became a nickname that kind of caught on.
Yeah.
And then finally I was like, okay, I'm going to adapt it and do that for like when I travel. That's what I became known as,
Right.
different.
So, as far as traveling, I know that you probably do a lot of conventions and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been getting more into that like the past 2 years. I hit out online and did only online stuff for the longest time. But last 2 years, I was like, hey, I'm ready to travel. Like, I love traveling, walking locations, getting a feel for it. I've always done ghost hunting stuff. Well, since starting down this journey, I started getting into ghost hunting because I wanted to work with my mediumship. Like, I'll walk a location, pick up on a lot, and then I'll hear the history afterwards or connect to it. So it's one of my favorite things to do is just go to all different locations. I have this bond with buildings and remote viewing. So it's something really interesting to me with history, and actually being in these locations is amazing to me. So that's when I started just, okay, I'm going to put myself out there and start going to vendor events and doing even more, finally being public with my mediumship.
Right. So yeah, I know there's quite a few mediums that travel around, but that's something that I wish I could convince a lot of my friends that are the ones that are always like, yeah, I always wanted to go to Michigan. I've always wanted to go to Tombstone, Arizona, Roswell, New Mexico. I've always wanted to go and see, the Winchester, Mystery House. I've always wanted to go to Ireland or England or Italy or whatever. And it's like, man, what are you waiting on?
Exactly.
You have a $600 a month car payment. You could have a $200 a month car payment and save that $400 a month and have a heck of a vacation at the end of one
year. And if you're smart about it, it's not as expensive as people think.
Right.
And if it's in the US and you can drive there, that's not that bad. Life is so short, and if I weren't one to just get up and go, then I would have missed out on so much.
Right.
Life is so much more fulfilling when you have those experiences and do those things and live in the moment.
How long did you live in Alaska?
22 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
2 years. Yep.
So you met your husband in Alaska. That's correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And he was in the military, and I was in the military. Do you remember what unit he was in when he was up there?
501st. He's gonna kill me if I get wrong. I am the worst wife with this stuff. Like, the less I know, the better, anyways. But
that's okay. No, and the funny thing is the unit numbers have changed like 3 or 4 times since I was up there. So I was in an airborne unit up there, and apparently he was in an airborne unit there at Rich. Charlie Company, probably.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and so. What did you do any traveling or anything while you were up there in Alaska? Did you go see the wilderness?
Oh yeah, all the time. Like, our family growing up, we were real big about camping, and when the salmon came up and catching the run, so we would go all over. Russian River's like my favorite, and then Kenai. Seward, I absolutely love Seward. So yeah, my friends in high school, and like we would always just up and go. Like, hey, we're going to go here. And I don't know, Alaska is a very unique place, and the bond and connection people have to each other is different than other states. Like, I was kind of in a culture shock moving to the South when we did. I was like, man, people are kind of weird down here. Like, people just say it to your face. In the South, they're like a little bit different. Like, they go about things so differently. So yeah, growing up, my parents would be like, hey, we're going to go camping. Want to go? Ask your friends if they can come, and sometimes we'd have like 2 or 3 friends, or we'd all meet up at a campground like hours away. So hiking, traveling all the time. I actually really miss hiking. So
did you do any like urban exploration or any kind of because I know that was pretty early in your life, any kind of ghost hunting or anything while you were up there?
I never really paid attention to it back then.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
There's so many cool places.
Experiences, but I wasn't looking for it.
Right. There's so many cool places up there. There's an old orphanage that is in Seward that is just, it's off the chain as far as just creepy, weird.
Oh, I want to go now. I got to go back.
Yeah, when I was up there, I did a lot of urban exploration, looking at old buildings and stuff, especially in Seward. For those of you who don't know, Seward, Alaska was wiped out by a tsunami after an earthquake, the 1964 earthquake. A huge wave came in there and took half the town and drug it out there in Seward Bay right there. And we used to do a lot of scuba diving out there. And there's just all kinds of junk down there in the water, right off the beach there. And it's really interesting place to go.
It is the smell of fish. It's very unique.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I'll never forget when you get in town that like the whole town smell like fish. And then after like 2 days, you get used to it and it's not a big deal,
and it's not a big deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, for those of you who don't know, you're watching Detective Diaries. I'm talking with Jessica Potter, psychic medium. If you're watching, could you please like this broadcast, and if you would share it, that would be great. If you have any comments for us or questions, please put them in the comments section down there. And it would be really cool if you told us where you were when you put your comments in, so I know where you are. I know I've seen some people from all over the place so far. Some of the comments that we have, I got some from there you go. There's Shay from SG.
Hi, Shay.
Do you know her?
I recognize her face.
Yeah.
I'm not a name person. I'm a faces person. So.
Right. And I have some, let's see, I got some from, wow, look at this. King George, Virginia.
Oh, that's cool. Hi, Mary.
What's up, Mary? Thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate it.
I think that was one of my last events I did too. King George, Bell Grove Plantation. Yeah, where I met MJ. Oh my God. We hit it off. Like, I love the way she goes hunts.
Yeah.
I said, you get so many answers because you talk with them with respect. That's what they want.
I think so. You know, I've been to a lot of different places, and remember, you know, as far as I'm using air quotes, being the paranormal detective, I have specific things that I do that I stick to because that's what I do. I don't try to venture out and do a whole bunch of other experimentation. Other people are doing that, using spirit boxes and just all kinds of different things. So I try to kind of stick in my realm. It was really interesting when I was talking with MJ and Frank Sinelli. And Frank was talking about, man, he does a lot of EVP work. Yeah, and he says, man, I get a lot more activity when we just set up the recorder and just go about our business. And especially if we're together, you know, a group of people together, play a little bit of music, have drinks, laugh, have fun. And a lot of people believe that spirits are attracted to that, you know, groupings of people that have a high level of energy. So it's just kind of fun to think of it.
Yeah, if you're hanging conversations, they love joining in that. Sometimes when you're sitting there asking them the same question over and over and over again, like, what's your name? What's your name? What's your name? You know, can you imagine being a spirit and being like, Fred, you know, like they get bored of that. So when there's like funny stuff going on, yeah, they love to take part of that. Because
I love the rapid fire questions some people will do, you know, be quiet and they got their, you know, is anybody there? Are you trying to contact anybody? What's your name?
And they ask it again.
It's like, slow down a little bit.
Yeah.
We're talking across time and space here. So Gypsy, she's fascinated by remote viewing. You had mentioned remote viewing a little bit earlier. Elaborate on that as far as your experience with that.
Remote viewing, it's like remote viewing is just fun for me. I don't know. It's pretty amazing to me when you can connect into different locations and different places, especially if you've never been there and then you get there, it's kind of mind blowing. So working with my remote viewing, I would always practice it on the way to somewhere I hadn't been. And one time when I was first starting down this journey and learning my abilities, I was like, I want to see if I can do this. So me and my husband were on the way to a friend's house for a party, and I just like connected in. I was seeing like white in the kitchen. I could get the whole layout. I seen the color of the paint in the walls and the fireplace and all stuff. And then when we got there, I was like, oh my God, like it was just so cool. And of course my husband's like, you know, okay, well, what side's the driveway on? You know, how big's his yard? And, you know, so everything I was getting, I was just bringing it through, but it was really cool. So for me, I have this connection like historic buildings with remote viewing and tapping into them. It's kind of like Google Earth. Like you can zoom in from above and then you can drop into where you're in that location, and you might not always see with your clairvoyant like where the walls are and stuff, but you can get a feel for design and layout. So that's extremely helpful on missing person cases.
Well, I know that the military has done a whole bunch of research on that. Got Melissa Walker. She's saying she'd love to know what we find in our building. She works in a child abuse section, and the office that they're in is an old building, and it used to be a state school, and right behind that state school, or right behind where Melissa works, is one of those big unmarked graveyards
Wow.
where, all the residents that were born, lived, and died at the state school are buried in unmarked graves out there. And it's really weird because it's a big area. It's all fenced off, but there's nothing. There's depressions everywhere where you can see where the bodies are, but
I picked up yesterday, I was doing my class with Sydney, and I was picking up on somebody that was like a principal, and nobody connected to it, but she kept showing me where the skirt had to be to her knees. She would never wear a skirt that was higher than her knees, and putting her hands down by. And as soon as she asked her question, I was seeing something with red lipstick too, but I feel like this lady is one of the main energies that's there. There's a few of them that drop in, but she's still feeling like she's got to keep control. She's got to, yeah. There's
being a principal, yeah.
of it is really random.
So let's go to some of your favorite places that you've been. You mentioned the Birdcage Theater in Tombstone, Arizona. Tell us a little bit about that.
First time I visited Birdcage Theater was before I knew about my mediumship, and my husband's from Arizona. Oh my gosh, I love it. I just have this drawing to it. And after going the first time, I couldn't understand why, but I had like this weird addiction to it. Every time we go visit his family in Arizona, it's like, oh, let's go to Tombstone. Let's get away for 2 days. So the in-laws would watch the kids and we would go run away to Tombstone. And my husband was like, you never get tired of this place, but it's amazing. And I had really cool ghost hunt experience. It ended up being me, my sister-in-law and her friend. We were all like, I think there was only like 5 of us for the ghost hunt. So we ended up staying an extra 2 hours, but I mean, they were answering us, knocking on the walls. Like one of them, we asked who it was, and she lifted up one of the paintings of one of the girls that used to work there, one of the prostitutes or ladies of the night, and it like slammed against the wall. And then we got EVPs of her saying her name. It was just so much information, just really amazing. Like you'll smell lavender like when they walk by you. It's extremely active, and it has like this energy of like excitement because it was their favorite place to go when the
right
things do. And you can feel that when you're there.
Any specific thing that happened while you were there that you found pretty amazing?
Tombstone. Oh, there were so many little experiences, but I remember just a lot of them answering our questions, feeling your hair being pulled, feeling poked, feeling touched, random laughing, like phantom laughing. And you hear them on the walkways, which you can't go up there anymore because the floors, like, they're trying to keep it from caving in or somebody getting injured, but you can hear them walking up there and running up there. It's pretty neat. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you're there with them and it's just constant stuff going on. And to me, that's like so cool. It's like, oh, I want to understand it.
Yeah, so do I. So do I. You sent me some pictures of Randolph County Infirmary. Was that pretty impressive as far as when you were there?
Yes, yeah. I traveled out there for Spook TV Con with the Booth Brothers, and I was blown away by how much I had come through. That it's known for having a really dark history, or that supposedly there's demonic stuff there, but that wasn't my experience at all. The one thing that really brought me to tears was when one of the spirits would show me when it was a nursing home and the holidays, they would come out into the hallway and all the children would come running in. And so it was like one big family. Like it's even like getting touching for me now. It was amazing to see. But again, that place is extremely active, extremely active. We saw, there was like 3 other women with me that saw it, and walking down the hall where we saw blood prints, what looked like blood prints appear on the wall, but then they faded. And I've never had an experience like that where you see something and we all 3 saw it and then it faded. But all the time you're hearing doors close and open. But most of them there were really friendly. They would just tell me about their experience living there, and there was a lot of spirits that are still there or pop in there because they had a special love for the place and they had a lot of really good memories there.
When was this?
Um,
A
Probably
couple of
about
years ago?
2 years ago, the first time I visited, and then we actually rented the location out and did a event there where we did an overnight ghost hunt and we did classes and a gallery reading, and
Was
yeah.
that with the Booth brothers then? Was that?
No, not the second time.
Okay.
It was me and a friend teamed together and we rented it together and did all the events.
I haven't seen the Booth brothers in years. I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, I haven't.
Oh, I
haven't
see
seen
them all
around
the
here.
time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, maybe, I don't know. Where are you located?
I'm down in Texas, so we don't have a lot
that's
of.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all East Coast. Well, they travel to the East Coast quite a bit, so I always end up seeing them at events and connecting with them.
Yeah. Are they still doing any movies or anything?
Mm-hmm.
Are they?
Yeah, we did their documentary on Attached. I did a small section there. Did what Katie Stafford, if you know who he is, Ghost Morgan City,
Yep.
the mad scientist. I was one of the first mediums they put the God helmet on, or what they call the God helmet.
Right.
Yeah, I was completely fine with that. I was like, I am down to do like any and every experiment. To me, the more you learn, you can understand about, the cooler it is. So I was completely fine till we read this guy that was a skeptic, and he told us, he asked me if we had tried the helmet, and I said no, and he was telling us that he had this crazy experience and was seeing all these things coming towards him. And then right before, I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Because, the Booth brothers were filming it. And I'm like, if I lose my mind and that ends up being like on TV, like people will never forget about the colored hair girl loses it. But it was really cool. They led me down, like had me not look where it was going. And they put me in this room and then put the helmet on. And they asked me what I sensed and what I picked up on in the room. And I connected to a guy right in front of me. And at the same time, they had the ghost hunt equipment going. And so they picked up on every time I would say something, say it's over here, it's over here. Like they would end up getting stuff on the camera and connecting to like the, oh my gosh, what's that called? But from the Xbox Connect, the little, where it does the little guys, the little stick figures.
Right.
And I was telling them my back was hurting and it like jumped on my back. And then I said, now my back doesn't hurt anymore, but my head's hurting, and it had like climbed up and stuff. But yeah,
that's crazy.
Cool stuff that they got. I don't know when or where that's going to get used, but yeah, they're still doing movies and stuff.
Hey, Joanne's asking, what about the hotel with the flashlights?
Which Dunnlora Inn, and that's my mother-in-law, by the way.
Oh, okay.
She's gonna get like 200 friend requests and be like, "Why did you have to go and say that?" The hotel with the flashlights. I don't know. Are you talking about Tombstone? She might be.
I think she.
Inn. Like Dunnlora Inn, they will always answer you with flashlights. They will answer you with anything. That place is just crazy.
Yeah, so, it was. Oh, she had mentioned Tombstone, and then she asked about that. So I didn't know if the Dunnlora Inn. Since we're there, let's talk a little bit about this place, the Dunnlora Inn.
Yeah, I kind of jumped the gun.
That's all right.
Yeah, so Dunnlora Inn is actually a location that one of my friends bought. I met her through ghost hunting. She used to run ghost hunt tours, and I mean, she still travels and ghost hunt, but that's how I met her. She was running my team, and we just connected and vibe. I think we've been friends for like 8 years now. But she bought this location, and she completely renovated the inside, and it had just deteriorated. Two sisters, I think, were the last of the family that it was like passed down to. And because they were both elderly, they just weren't able to keep up with it. So she and her husband put a whole lot of work into it and taking it back to the period that it was built, which I think was like 1918. I want to say 1918, 1919 is when it was built. And it's in Mineral, Virginia. So it used to be a 4-hour drive from me in North Carolina. Now it's like an hour and a half. But she invited me to come out to it, and it's so fascinating. Like how, I don't know if they like it so much because she brought it back. I mean, she even went through getting wallpaper pattern from that theme in every room, and antiques, and it's loaded of antiques. with antiques and spirits, but I pretty much guarantee you're going to have experience if you go there. Even if you're a skeptic, you can hear them all the time moving around.
Yeah, I love places like that where people actually, find a location or whatever that has this history, it has this lore or legend, and they decide to go ahead and feed into that because there's a lot of kids. I would say most people probably don't like history. They don't want to study history. They don't want to know Governor Ireland of Texas and 1885. Signed this particular bill, and nobody cares. Nobody cares. And so, they should have two kind of histories that they teach in high school. If you're looking to be an attorney or work for the government or, something like that, let's take this history where you have to remember times, places, dates, stuff like that. And then there's this alternative history, and it's still history. It's where all the murders happened, where the brothels were, where the person committed suicide, what the house that burnt down, just all this kind of stuff.
At one point, that was a brothel as well.
What? Which one?
Dunnlora Inn.
What was it? Okay.
So I guess it was a house, and then they had at one point it was a boarding school, and then I had an experience when I first got there. I walked in one of the rooms and I saw a topless woman sitting on a guy, and I was like, oh, okay, I think you got a brothel here. And she was like, I don't think so. Well, when she dug through the records that she got with the house when she bought it, that sure enough, a license was there for running a brothel at one point.
It's so funny. There are so many locations where there's reported spiritual activity, and you look at it and it's like, yep, that used to be a brothel. Yep, that used to be a brothel. Apparently that was very popular. I don't know.
Yeah, there's something with the Dunnlora Inn that is same as Tombstone. People just get drawn to it. I keep getting drawn to it, and even when she's renovating it, painting it, I'm like, can I come? Can I come? I'll come help her paint or do whatever. I just love the energy of it. It has a very loving energy, and then it has a very active spiritual energy. But it's not just the house; it's the land too. So it's got history with Native Americans. There was actually an earthquake around there. Oh gosh, I want to say it was a couple years back, 8 years back, something like that, or 10 years back. I don't know. They had a major earthquake, which is not normally an area to get earthquakes, but there's just a unique energy and pull to it. And then when we're doing ghost hunts there or investigations, we will get all sorts of spirits dropping in, visiting. So I don't know if it's a vortex or what's going on there, but a lot of people are just very drawn to it. A lot of kids, a lot of spirit kids too.
Right. So Kathy Boohorn, yeah. So ghosties are sexual. Who knew? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's there's a thing called the. Say again.
Sorry, I say you carry your personality over to the other side. So yeah, of course.
Well, I'm pretty sure that that's the oldest oldest occupation.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
It's probably that.
Fastest way to make money.
But yeah. So, any specific thing at Dunnlora Inn that you or you've heard other people experience there that's kind of a common thing?
Me, I have so many experiences I can't even count. My first one was the night we went there. Sheena invited me out there to do an event, so it was my first night staying in the inn. Normally, when I go visit her, she lives about a half hour away, so I'd stay at her house. But sleeping in the inn, me and the friend that were working the event, he had one room, I had another, and all night long, she has antique furniture in there, like a wardrobe, and I was hearing the little knobs, tink, tink, tink. Then I was hearing the bed make popping noises, but there was no real reason why it should be making noise. And then I was hearing a woman talk to me, and then I actually had to plug my ear, and then she started talking to me in my head, and I'm like, oh my gosh. But it was constant pokes in the face, pokes in the back. And at one point, yeah, there's Sheena. Sheena's the owner of the Dunnlora Inn.
Oh, okay. Well, she says that the spirits love you, so there you go.
Yeah, I have a special bond with them. But I was I couldn't sleep, but I was trying because we had events all the next day, just one thing after another. And I was like, hey, it's almost like 5 something morning. I need to get sleep, guys. And I kept seeing in my mind this guy curious about my bags and wanting to go through my bags. And then I heard like my ghost hunt kit, which is heavy. I have like the hacked radios and all that. And it like dropped onto the ground, but it was like somebody picked it up and dropped it, not like it started sliding and then rolled off. And it felt like a good distance away for if it were going to fall off. And it had been in the same place for, I can't even think of how many hours, but it had been there. But I didn't even turn over. I was like, I'm not turning around. Like, I'm going to turn around and see like a full body apparition right there. But that was one crazy night. Now when I work events there, I have to have earplugs. It is that active, and they're constantly tinkering with the antiques and like doing stuff all night long. You'll hear furniture being moved. Hey, Greta.
Yeah, there's Greta. So she was talking to me about this a couple of days ago, actually. Yeah.
That is so cool. Yeah, you really should get out there.
Yeah.
You'll love it. There's a lot that I would love to get answers to that is pretty neat because each room has like a different feel. Like you'll feel kids more in one room. You'll feel like the how she was talking about sexual ghosts. Yeah, you'll feel one room like which is actually my favorite room, so it's kind of funny. Like, but it feels like yeah, there's like a female in there. It carries that energy, and then it's just so unique, so different. I've seen full body apparition there that one like got me. I don't it was something about the way she made eye contact that was just like, ooh, like it was just so weird. I was sitting on the bed talking to Sheena, who was in one of the guest rooms, and she just came up the stairs, and there was actually a guest staying in the room that she went into. She came up the stairs, and I saw like the period bubble, and I'm like, wait, everyone's in the rooms, like who's this lady? And it didn't click for a second till I really noticed the sleeve and her hair in a bun, and I was like, oh my gosh. But she just looked right at me and paused and then just went through the door, and I was like, oh my gosh, I really did see that. Well, the next morning at breakfast, the couple came downstairs and she asked how they slept and making them breakfast, and they were like, well, we were sleeping okay, but we both woke up to somebody sitting on our bed. And it was right about the time that I saw her go through the door.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a very active place, very unique place. So I highly recommend it if you're traveling through. It's out in the country, but it is so worth the visit.
Yeah, a lot of these places are a little bit, I guess, isolated or whatever. And it's funny that there's a lot of locations in Austin that are reported to be haunted, but we just don't have like a really large following of paranormal activity here in Texas. I don't know what the deal is. We love us some Bigfoot. We can have a Bigfoot conference down here.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
it's, you get hundreds and hundreds of people, but paranormal conferences, just not so much. I'm not sure. I've been trying to figure it out, but I know we need a good one down here. But
Yeah, Bigfoot, I think, I don't know, Bigfoot, I'd be bored. I could totally see me being bored. I'd be like, are there any dead people here? Like Bigfoot just, I get why some people are into it. It's interesting, but yeah, I'd totally just be wanting to talk to spirits. So that is pretty interesting that you would have people that are drawn to that, but not the paranormal. Because most of the time
yeah,
you have people that are into both. They want to understand both.
yeah, it's odd. But so what are some of the events? Name your top three events that you've done that you really either had a lot of fun or you had a lot of activity.
Oh gosh.
Like I know you love Michigan Paracon, that's for sure. Brad Blair up there.
Yeah, that one has amazing energy, just amazing people. They're just really down to earth, really chill, and a lot of fun stuff going on. Plus they had poker. So I like poker and casinos. So
That
that was kind of fun. I could like turn my mind off after
I got to play poker with Brad Blair, Dave Schrader, and some other famous guy. He's got some TV show, Expedition Unknown or something like that.
Josh Gates.
Oh yeah, Josh Gates. Yeah, I got to play poker with him. Actually, I guess we were just playing.
I have not met him yet, but when I do like his Afterlife series, oh my God, I got so many questions. He's gonna
I
hate.
know.
He's gonna be like, get this girl away from me.
He's man, he is great. He is the total package. People like ask me, well, what's Josh Gates like? I said, watch the TV show. That's who he is.
Yeah.
It's great. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I've heard about him too. Like, I have so much respect for him doing that ayahuasca, or I think is how you say it. I don't know if you saw the documentary that he did on.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, like I was feeling anxiety when he was like on the little boat to go do it, ayahuasca. I hope I'm saying that right, but I was like, oh my God, my stomach, like I feel like this is too much. I just can't believe that he was that brave to do it. And then it was hilarious because I was thinking at the same time, I was like, oh my gosh, and it's going to be public and it's going to be recorded. And he turned around to the camera guy and was like, if I shit myself, do not get that on camera. Like, I was like, oh man, this is hilarious.
Right. Yeah. So on the East Coast, what's a big one on the East Coast that people should watch out for?
Location
A
wise?
Paracon.
Ooh, Belle Grove, the one that MJ has coming up, like fingers crossed, everything's good to
I
go.
know.
But it better be. But October, and you're going to be at that one. You're one of the speakers at that one. But
I am. Yep.
and that location has quite a bit. I really connected with the slaves there, which is what MJ and me got, like how we connected. The next morning at the vendor event, she came up and was like, "You're not going to believe this." And the ghost, like after our group left, it was so active and then given EVP responses that when we went inside, I went on to the next section, but she had to find me the next day because they were asking where Jessica went and she got an EVP of it. And I'm like, that's just crazy. And she said it was crickets, the next group. She had just got them all amped and was like, oh, it's been off the chain. They're answering almost every single question. And then she said it was like nothing but crickets. And I was like, oh man, that sucks. But yeah,
in that cool. You get a whole bunch of stuff and then all of a sudden, where'd everybody go?
Yeah.
It's like a lost signal on your.
The only thing that came through was like, "Where's Jessica?" That was one of the only ones that she got for that. And then the next group, it went back to being active again and like them talking. But and I had to record her EVPs because she was going to fly back to the UK, and I'm like, I gotta get a copy of that. But there was one of them where same room. It was the summer kitchen, I believe, where the slaves were there. But I had on EVP, we caught Jessica, Here We Come, and I felt like a finger run up my back, but there was this wolf spider in there, like no joke, it was like that. So MJ would always give us heads up, like, for that. So I, without thinking, I just rip up my shirt and I'm like, is that spider on me? And I'm not afraid of spiders, but that was the only thing I could think of at first. And then I was like, okay, yeah, so that was definitely spirit. Everybody's like, no.
Well, believe it or not, our whole hour is gone. So tell everybody where they can find you.
So you can find me on Intuitive Medium, Jessica Potter. On Facebook, you can find me at starloveclarity.com or themermaidmedium.com. So
and also, do you have any events that are, because just about all my events got canceled. I'm doing an event, Belvoir Winery with Kindred Spirits, and then MJ's deal. Do you have anything scheduled right now?
I have in my Paracon. I'm waiting on scheduling or booking any other flights, and then Sage Paracon in November, and I'm so looking forward to that.
Yeah, that's
incredible.
That is great. It's a great thing. I just want to thank you so much for spending this hour on Detective Diaries. And I'm trying to log all of my, favorite, interesting and strange people. And that will be my Detective Diaries for when I'm an old man and I can go back and look at this and go, yeah, that was fun.
That's not me.
So, if there's anything I can do for you, get in touch with me. Everybody that's out there, say goodbye to Jessica.
Bye. Thank you. It was a blast.
Thank you, Jessica. Thank you so much. For those of you that tuned in, I really appreciate you, all your comments. I didn't get to many of your comments, but I would certainly love to have gotten to all of them. I'll get to them later today. I'll probably answer them later today. Our next Detective Diaries is going to be on Thursday. Or no, today. it's coming up. I'm going to have to advertise. I'm not sure. I don't know whether I have it locked in or not. And hopefully, if you have time, go check out Jeff Belanger. He's doing the Speakeasy, and that's where this all came from. So thanks for watching, and I hope to see all of you guys soon out there in the paranormal somehow. Have a good one.